There is a plan for us, deeper than what we see. This is why it's called a planet. It's a planet. It's a plan. It's a plan for this planet. This will fade, but there's a coming day. Are you ready?
Well, welcome back to Kung Fu Maintenance. Today I've got a pretty big hole here, and while this isn't always the ideal way to do it, what I have here is a wall patch. This can be a fairly fast and effective way of patching the wall. What it has is a sticky backing and then a sheet of aluminum, and it just kind of covers up and blends in the patch. And so I'll just stick it on like so. Now you need a clean surface to begin with, so you want to scrape any high spots away, which I actually did already. And then just apply a little light pressure, get the stickiness to do its thing, and then we're ready to coat it with some mud. And again, this is an effective way. The other way is to cut it out and replace the drywall. But for an area like this, this should work just fine. So we'll mud it up, texture it, and I'll see how it comes out. Okay, so I've mixed up enough mud that I'll use in 20 minutes. So I mixed up enough mud, half water and half patch there. It's a 20-minute mud, and I've mixed up just enough to do and use in 20 minutes. And so just going to apply that. I've mixed it up pretty thin, but it clings to the knife, as you can see. I could mix it up a tiny bit better. Kind of get all the lumps out. So it should go on good. I'm just using a trash bag down as a tarp, and I actually have a few other patches I'll be doing, so I just mixed it up for those as well. But here it is with this patch deal. And we may need a coat or two, but here goes the first coat. And I just don't want to push too hard. Glad I got my tarp down there. And this thing. That will go down. Either way, we just do a nice little light coat on the first coat. And could have gone a little thicker on the mud mixture. Less dripping. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than our patch area. This way I can float it in better, hide the seams a little bit better. Anyway, that should look good for the first coat. And I'll come back once that dries and float it over again. No big deal. Okay, so I'm about ready for my second coat here. It's I still got the same batch of mud, but I'm going to apply the second coat anyway. Since I spread that one thin enough, it dried pretty fast. It dried well enough to do the second coat anyway. A bigger knife will make this a little bit easier too, but it is what it is. Get it done with this one. And I'll just kind of progressively spread my patch out a little bit. Give it some space to really blend into the surroundings and not have so much to stand out. Oh, that's good for now for that coat. Okay, I'm still on the same batch of mud and it's drying up, but still usable. I'm going to put a third coat on here. It's much thicker now. Oop. I don't want to press too hard on my patch though. So I may have to water this down a bit just so it's a little more easier to put on. I'll mix up some water in my mud pan with the stuff here. Let's see if I can get it to remix up a little bit, just enough that I won't have to push so hard on the patch. It's a little bit better. Let's see how it goes here. Just okay. Well, might have to wait till tomorrow, come back at it with another coat and some texture. Okay, here it is the following day. You can definitely still see some grid mark patterns and all, so we're going to be doing another patch, mixing up some of the 20-minute mud. Today I'll be doing the mudding and texturing, and tomorrow the unit's getting painted, so it should work out pretty good. Just going to scoop up enough for the job and have a couple other jobs to finish off, so I'll make a little bit more than I need for just here. Do it. I'm ready to mix in. So it's 2 parts powder to 1 part water. No big deal. And just mix it up here. I need a tiny bit more water. Mix that up. Here, nice cake batter consistency. Tiny bit more, get it just the way I like it, and it'll be good. Okay, got it all mixed and good to go. A bigger knife probably would be helpful for this, but Mine was hiding somewhere. I don't know where. So let's get it done with this one. Patch has definitely got much more strength to it now. Before I had to worry about pushing on it. Now I don't. Good. Just a tiny bit more of the cross pattern is showing through right here. This one's going to work out good. And again, probably one more coat on that to make it just right. Finish out the cross, cover up the patch there, and we'll be ready for texture. Okay, finished up on my other passes, and I've still got more mud, and this is the same mix as before. We're just going to do the final deal. It's actually dry enough to get it done. It's going to be nice and smooth, cover the patch. Make it nice and invisible. There we go. I'll let that dry. And the key will be coming back with a wet rag and using that to sand instead of sanding. It's much better. You don't have to breathe all the sand in. It does the same job. I'll show you that once it's dry, maybe a half hour or so. And so the journey continues. So I'm just going to get my rag nice and wet, and this is going to be my sandpaper. Works a lot better than sandpaper. Reason being, no dust. You know, it's no fun breathing in all that dust. It's not good for you. Anyway, you just take your rag and smooth it out, especially the edges. It's very quick and it's very efficient. And it's not quite as messy as breathing in all the dust. And it's just much nicer to work with. So, however our finish is when we finish, before we texture, this is going to really determine how well our texture comes out. If it's not nice and flat, stuff like this, it's going to show through the texture. So if we can work that out either by sanding or, wiping down with a rag, or by doing another coat of mud and get rid of that, then our texture is going to come out much better. Otherwise, it's not going to be so great. Most of this I should be able to get out. And it's much more critical around the edges. That little spot right there, and a little bit right here, I might actually need some more mud. Won't take much though. Just a little bit to fill that big divot in, because that's going to show through if I don't. So here's what it is. Let's get it done. Okay, mixed up just a tiny bit more for the final job. That's going to make it come out just right. And just take it right to the edge there. That should work. Okay, so just doing my final pass with the rag. Make it nice and neat. And we'll be ready for our texture. Okay, so our texture's had a little time to sit and get warm. And now we're ready. Gotta pop this little tab off here. And then there's a little tab here that we pull off to remove. So we're gonna set our texture where we like it. I like it about in the center. So there we go. That's what works good for my wall. And I like to use my mud pan to wipe off my blade as I go. So, as well as for a bit of a guide. So here goes. Let's get it done. Okay. Let the mess begin. What I do is use my knife here on the side to protect the wall a little bit. Okay. Just throwing a circular motions. Yep. I'm definitely going to need to wipe off that first shot. That just didn't work right. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Just going to wait a minute or two and then knock it on down. The key to knocking down the knockdown texture is to hold your knife straight on like so. And just knock it down. And if you need to redo an area, you can redo it. No big deal. Got a few flat places, as you can see, so we'll redo those. No big deal. Again, a little circular motion. I'll go a little higher to get that. And I switched to using my little knife, and I'm going to go sideways, but the same thing. I can go down or sideways, whichever. But again, the key is keeping the blade flat. Little knockdown. Wipe off my blade, and any areas that you don't like, you can always just redo them. I'll wait a little bit longer this round. Let it harden up a little bit, and then scrape it on down. Blade off. And this one I'm just going real lightly because it's wanting to get a lot of high spots. It's pretty good. And just right in this area. Gonna redo just that area. And a little bit in right here. That should do it. That should be about just right. Yep. Painters will paint it up tomorrow, and that'll be that. Now, to make it come out even better, primer is what's going to really make it hide as well, but this should hide very well. Looks about just right. Thanks for watching Kung Fu Maintenance. Over and out. Okay, so now that the texture's all done, we'll want to prime up the walls. Shake up our can real good for 2 to 3 minutes. And the primer will help hide everything much better, just make it come out much better. This unit I'm actually having the carpets replaced, so I'm not too worried about carpets. You want to wear a nuisance mask when you're using spray paint. And just a light coat. Better to do a couple light coats rather than one heavy coat, so you don't get any runs. All right, all primed up there. Primer's all dry. We are ready for paint. Gonna roll it on. And do a couple coats. Start with our first coat here. As you can already see, we're in. It's pretty good. It's not perfect or anything, but it's good enough. There it is. That's the wall patch. Do another coat of paint. I'll show you when it's done. Okay, now the paint's had a chance to dry. Ready for a second coat. Roll it on. And there it is. It's pretty good. I could have changed my texture size just a little bit to make it a little bit of a heavier texture rather than a fine texture, but it's good enough for what it is. Hidden. And to hide it even better, I could have actually brought it up to this where this electrical panel is. That would have, masked it a little more too. But it's good enough. Yeah, good to go. Thanks for watching Kung Fu Maintenance. Over and out.
There is a plan for us to earn what we see. This is why it's called a planet. It's a planet. It's a plan. It's a plan for this planet. This will fade. There's a coming day. Are you ready? Right through this message, written for this message.